Buenas, acá Aisher y hoy encontré un nuevo MMORPG que se está desarrollando y que es un juego argentino y que está acá en la página de Steam. Lo encontré acá en el videojuegos argentinos y puse a ver qué MMOs había y en próximo lanzamiento encontré este Fire. Que la imagen está bugueada, pero entré a ver y me encontré con esta joya que es un MMO que está bastante desarrollado. No tienen video en Steam. Entonces dije, ok, vamos a ver qué onda, porque esto se ve bastante bueno. Y encontré, bueno, primero y principal, me tenía que asegurar que realmente eran de Argentina. Y entré acá a Stone Hollow Workshop. Y está la página y dice, somos un team argentino. Y ya está. No los conocía. Y hay un chabón en YouTube, porque el YouTube oficial no tiene nada, tiene música nomás del juego. Hay un chabón que habla inglés y que creó un YouTube solamente para hablar del juego. Así que el título del video se llama Este puede ser el mejor móvil RPG de la historia. Más o menos eso es lo que significa. Y tuvo 100.000 vistas. Y yo no me había enterado que existía este juego. Hace 5 meses posteé este video. Hace 5 meses que está este juego en este nivel de desarrollo y ni siquiera me había enterado. Hay un MMORPG, hay otro MMORPG argentino que está bastante interesante. Y vamos a ver qué es lo que dice este chabón y ver cómo es el juego.
I'm genuinely shocked by just how much fun I've been having with this game, and it's truly a hidden gem more people should know about. This is Edderspire, an indie MMORPG I've started playing since November of last year, and I have easily clocked in a good 200-300 hours since. The devs have been constantly updating it with new content every 2 to 3 weeks, and it has been an absolute blast watching the game grow so rapidly. I've decided to start a YouTube channel to give it the attention it deserves. In this video, we're going to cover what the game is all about and why it has the potential to become the best mobile MMORPG. We will also touch on monetization, because yes, it's a free-to-play mobile game and these tend to get a bad rep, but the way the devs handled monetization, especially given that it's a mobile game, was truly surprising. So let's jump right into it. Once you open up the game, you'll immediately see that it's got a cartoonish retro look to it, which gives you an idea of what to expect. A charming, lighthearted experience that will stand the test of time. This game's retro cartoonish visuals really taps into the nostalgia factor and gives you this warm, familiar feeling that really separates itself from a lot of MMORPGs that go for the fancier photorealistic look. It's the same reason why games like old school RuneScape, Animal Crossing, and Undertale have such a cult following, which you can clearly see Edderspire took inspiration from.
Bueno, es cierto, los MMO a veces usan la nostalgia haciendo que sea parecido a otros juegos que ya jugaste anteriormente. Y este, de hecho, me hace acordar al Mu como vuela. Y, básicamente, bueno, veo que puedes tener alas muy parecido al Mu. El Mu, todo el mundo tenía alas. Y cualquiera que esté jugando MMO hace mucho sabe lo que es el Mu, juega al Mu. Y eso, la nostalgia pega. Aunque esto gráfico no creo que es mucho nostalgia, porque esto no es específicamente retro, es low poly, cozy, cute, no sé, pero honestamente yo creo que a los jugadores de MMO no les importa mucho el gráfico mientras entiendan lo que está sucediendo.
But this approach, the way the game looks, is actually a huge advantage for mobile games, because not everyone is going to have a device specifically designed to run games with insanely high graphics. But enough about the way the game looks. Let's talk about how it plays. At its core, Edderspire condenses the RPG experience into its essential parts. Kill mobs, loot gear, rinse and repeat. In short, number go up, me happy. I was honestly not expecting to get so hooked by something so simple and straightforward. The gameplay seemed so basic and repetitive at a glance that it initially looked straight up boring to me. I mean, just look at this. You run around looking like you're about to crap your pants, you wander up to one of those adorable little creatures, you tap auto attack a few times, and then bam, they're dead. You basically do this over and over and over again until you hit the level cap. And then you grind bosses for endgame gear, grind out the extra bonus levels, which are more of a flex than anything since you don't get any extra stats from them, or stand around and spam Dense 1 in front of the player mods. But this ridiculously simple gameplay loop actually kept me hooked all the way to the end, and then some. There's just something so captivating about this constant slow burn feeling of progression that feels almost hypnotic. And here's a big one. This game has no autoplay, which is a big deal for mobile games. When other players see you running around with your character fully maxed out, they know it is the result of...
Esto del autoplay, la verdad es que no sé cómo que llegamos a esto. Son los coreanos, obviamente, pero los coreanos evolucionaron. Los coreanos son los padres de los MMO. Y todos los MMO que ellos hacen fueron directos hacia el autoplay. Es como que, no sé por qué. No, la verdad que no entiendo por qué. Nadie entiende por qué. Supongo que los coreanos son los que les gusta el autoplay. No entiendo por qué el MMO se fue para el lado del autoplay. Y autoplay zarpado. O sea, hace las misiones solos. ¿Para qué tener misiones si se van a hacer solos? ¿Para qué matar bichos si van a matar bichos? O sea, no sé. La verdad que es inentendible.
Of your hard work and dedication. When you go from hitting mobs for single digits all the way up to obliterating them with a single hit in the thousands, you know you've earned it through the hours you put in to achieve it. But watching big numbers go bigger wasn't the only thing that made this game shine. If you're like me, story and writing probably isn't something that you cared or thought would matter a whole lot in a mobile game. But I was stunned to discover that this game not only had a simple yet strangely engaging gameplay, but also some surprisingly witty writing too. Without spoiling the whole story, the main quest line basically revolves around your journey with a cast of characters who are members of the Adventurers Guild. And this guy. Outside of the main storyline though, you also get some very nice look into other NPCs in the world through some side quests and even just from playing the game itself. Whenever you die, you encounter the Resurrectionist, who is in charge of reviving you but is clearly not too happy about it. If you chat with the weapon and armor shopkeepers in the starter zone, you find out they actually have a thing for each other, which gets expanded on in a side quest in which you help the armor guy make a weapon for the weapon girl, which she finds very sweet, but he's clearly not the best at it, so she makes fun of him over it, which is apparently her way of expressing affection, at which point it becomes blatantly obvious that these two need to get a room. This is just a taste of what you can expect. But instead of spoiling the rest of it for you, I'm just gonna leave them up for you to find out for yourself. Now comes probably the most controversial part of any free-to-play mobile game. A lot of mobile games out there, and I'm just gonna say it for how it is, are straight up pay-to-win cash grabs. So how does Edderspire handle monetization in comparison? Edderspire mainly monetizes through two ways: the Premium Store and Edderspire Infinite. The Premium Store contains mostly cosmetic items that don't impact your stats in any way, though they certainly make you look cooler or cuter, depending on what you're going for. Now, there are cosmetic loot boxes in the store, and believe me, I wasn't too thrilled about it initially either. But the way they handled it is pretty interesting. For one, the items all have the same rates. So no 0.01% chance items that you'll basically never get. The items that you obtain also gets taken out of the pool, meaning no duplicates, and eventually you will just get everything, which basically serves as the pity system for this game. Now personally, I'm not a fan of loot boxes, period. So I still have mixed feelings about this. But I get that the devs do want to make money, and I think as far as loot boxes go, this is about as ethical as you can get in the mobile gaming world. Edderspire Infinite, on the other hand, to put it simply, is the premium version of the game. It is a one-time payment that gives you a whole bunch of perks, including extra currency to spend in the premium store, extra storage space and character slots, infinite resets of combat skills, and the ability to transfer items between characters. Now, does any of this turn Edderspire into predatory pay-to-win garbage like many of the other mobile games out there? The devs, from what I understand, defines pay-to-win as the ability to buy things that make your characters straight up stronger, which this game definitely does not allow you to do. But personally, I go with the strictest definition of pay-to-win, that anything you buy that offers an in-game advantage, whether it's straight up power or convenience items that make your life easier, is pay-to-win. So by that definition, I do believe Edderspire is pay-to-win. But so is pretty much every free-to-play MMORPG out there. Personally, I'm not gonna write the devs off for wanting $30. especially considering that Edderspire is very free-to-play friendly when compared to pretty much most of the other mobile MMORPGs.
Qué cagada. Esto de la monetización es muy jodido. Porque obviamente vos querés hacer plata con el juego. Y para hacer plata con el juego tenés que ofrecer algo que la gente quiera, pero tampoco que se embole, que necesita tener eso sí o sí. Entonces es como joder. Yo creo que esa monetización que tiene este juego está totalmente bien. Porque vos pagas una vez una cosa y ya está. Yo creo que, o sea, está bien. Por ahí no vi exactamente qué es lo que te da. Pero se supone que vos pagás eso y ya estás en el mismo nivel que todos. No es que vos pagando, un tipo que pagó, no sé, gastó $10.000 en el juego porque va a destruir todo el mundo y nadie puede hacerle nada. Sino es un cap ahí, pagás $30 y ya está. Y después puedes tener skins y cosas que no realmente te importan. Entonces, no sé, es todo un debate el tema de la monetización. Creo que yo voy a tratar de hacer, mi juego va a ser lo más anti-pay to win. O sea, no quiero que nadie diga que mi juego va a ser pay to win. Ni en ninguna categoría. Va a ser lo menos pay to win de la historia de los MMO. Y así como no voy a hacer plata.
Out in the market. But hey, at the end of the day, you have a right to your opinion. And if this isn't something that you can get behind, you are entitled to that opinion as well. Look, I've been basically raving about Edderspire up to this point, but there are definitely some problems with it that I think needs to be addressed for this game to be successful. The game's biggest issue right now is that it's pretty clear that it's still very much a work in progress. The devs did a complete overhaul of the game's storyline last year, so they still got some catching up to do there. And I know I've talked about how this game is basically an RPG in its purest form with its simple approach to gameplay, but with fishing being the only non-combat thing you can do currently in the game, things can get pretty stale even for the most dedicated grinders.
¿No tiene PvP?
I do think that the combat itself can also be a bit more engaging than simply running up to a mob and auto-attacking it until it dies. Now, based on what the devs are saying though, it does sound like these are all things that they are actively working on this year, so I hope that they're able to address those concerns. So Edderspire is certainly not perfect. So why do I believe that it has the potential to become the best mobile MMORPG?
Ok, esto me interesa saber. ¿Por qué alguien va a pensar que un juego así puede ser el mejor MMO de la historia del universo? A ver.
The game has recently passed 100,000 registered users, and the devs made a post about it on Reddit, explaining what they have learned along the way. I highly recommend you to get the whole post to read to get an insight into
What the fuck?
how the devs think, which I will link in the description, but it shares a lot of valuable insights into why I genuinely believe that this game has massive potential in the months and years to come. For one, this game updates a lot. The game has an update cycle of...
Ok, a la gente le interesa mucho que se updatee todo el tiempo el juego. Ok, es interesante saber. Es interesante saber qué es lo que los jugadores de MMO les interesa sobre un juego.
once every 2 to 3 weeks, which is frankly incredible considering that they're currently a small indie company with a team of 6 people. And these updates aren't just simply bug fixes either. To just give you an example of what I'm talking about here, they have recently introduced 3 new abilities for each class, effectively a complete rehaul of the combat system. They introduced a new level cap and endgame boss with its own tier of gear drops. They expanded the main quest line and added several new maps and side quests, and they added full controller support for the game. And all of this was done in the past 2 months. Compared to games from AAA studios with teams of hundreds and thousands of devs that patch their game once or twice a month with mostly bug fixes and balancing, yeah, these people are built different. And on the subject of devs, you can really tell that they truly care about this game and its players. And you can really tell that this game is one of their passion projects. From the sheer amount of time they spend working on the game and directly interacting with the player base, you can really tell that this is something that they care about.
Bueno, yo busqué por todos lados y no encontré ningún video de lo de desarrollo. Por ahí hay y no lo vi, pero a mí me hubiese gustado. Yo entré en la página oficial y ver alguien representante, digamos, de esa empresa hablando, diciendo qué sé yo, algo de Un post de Reddit, honestamente, no voy a leer.
It is a delicate balance, though, between listening to player feedback and maintaining their core vision for the game, which is something that even the most experienced game developers would struggle with. Just to give you an example of what listening to player feedback looked like for this game, they recently did a rework of the chat box system, which a lot of us were not thrilled about. Like, the new one was just not it. The devs promptly started a discussion about how they can improve it, and literally within 3 weeks implemented the changes that were suggested by the player base. And now the new chat box, this most recent version that we have, is a combination of the old one and the new one, which got the best of both worlds. And honestly, just watching that update come in at such breakneck speed, implementing all the feedbacks that the player base was suggesting, it was frankly astonishing, especially considering that they are, again, a team of 6 people. And now, on the other hand, here is an example of how they hold on to their vision for the game. And that is their continued refusal to add PvP. And it's kind of funny because at this point, this continued demand from some of the newer players.
Buena elección. Es una muy buena elección no poner PvP porque bueno, es por la misma razón que yo no pongo PvP todavía en el juego. Porque si hay algún problema, hay algún error, hay un bug o algo que va a haber cuando vos estás desarrollando el juego, alguien va a tener ventaja en el PvP, una ventaja, y va a hacer que la gente se embole porque vos no vas a poder hacer PvP y además vas a tener que lidiar con... O sea, abrís un mundo de problemas cuando vos vas a hacer el PvP porque todos tus skills tienen que estar balanceados para PvP. Tienes que tener... y después está ese problema de que vos si lo haces demasiado, como ya vi en este juego que puede hacer 1.000.000 de daño, ¿qué pasa si después se one-shotea a la gente, se one-shotea uno al otro? El PvP, o sea... Entonces tenés que tener números más bajos o tal vez tenés que... realmente es un mundo de problemas el PvP. Así que si no puedes hacer... O sea, si no estás full queriendo hacer el juego PvP, mejor ni pongas PvP. Así que creo que ahí concuerdo con la gente.
Coming in and whining about why is there no PvP? It's actually become a bit of an inside joke in the community. And even in the Discord server, they have an emoji that basically is about this whole thing. And every couple of days, somebody that's new would come in and ask, why is there no PvP? And then the devs are adamant about not adding it. And the reason for that, well, honestly, this is just coming from someone who plays other PvP-oriented games like League of Legends, is the toxicity, the headache that comes with balancing, and honestly, mostly the toxicity, because just from seeing how some of those people that come in and whine about the fact that there's no PvP behave, yeah, personally, I agree with the devs that, especially given with the direction that they're going with this game, that keeping this game strictly PvE is probably the right call.
El hate. Yo creo que para eso pones PvP. Creo que eso no es un problema de PvP. Eso es el beneficio de PvP. El bardo. Y yo me acuerdo que, o sea, estaría bueno, siempre estaría bueno tener PvP. Por ejemplo, yo me acuerdo jugar al Lineage 2 y el PvP era todo, básicamente. Y el bar, y iba a decir, oh, están todos puteando. Y sí, eso, lo mejor de todo era putearse y armar bardo y que a alguien le mataron al enano. Entonces todos dejan de hacer lo que están haciendo para ir a buscar al tipo y no dejarlo jugar. Y es medio tóxico, pero a la vez creo que es lo que le da la magia al juego y es parte del juego. El juego es así. La toxicidad en el PvP creo que es la parte divertida. Creo yo, no sé, capaz que me equivoco, capaz que es feo eso, no sé. Pero si haces un juego PvP, creo que es así. Y el bardo y todo eso, por ejemplo, el Argentum, todo es el bardo. Todo es matar a otro y que después vengan a vengarse y imagínate, los matas de nuevo. Y es como que el agite, como se le dice, el agite es la esencia del juego y es lo divertido del juego. Después otro sistema capaz que no están tan desarrollados, pero a la gente no le importa porque puede PvPar, puede mostrar su superioridad y su grosura a otras personas. Entonces, si tu juego no tiene PvP, significa que tienes que compensar mucho de eso en otras cosas. Y bueno, ahí está el riesgo de hacer un juego que tal vez no sea tan divertido como un juego que tenga muchas menos cosas, pero que tenga un PvP.
And that actually brings us to what I believe is one of the most important aspect of not just this game, but any MMORPGs, and that is the community. The player base for this game is probably one of the friendliest that I have been a part of. Every community now has their share of bad apples, but for the most part, everyone in this game is nice and willing to help out. I actually distinctively remember that when I first started playing this game, I was struggling to make gold because gold drops at the start was just terrible. And I explicitly remembered asking about it, and one of the advice that I got was to save on those shards, which are basically items that you get from mobs that you use to upgrade your gear with. Apparently, if you combine the 3 of them together, you make something called a soul fragment.
Ah, tener un crafteo tipo Minecraft, mira vos.
And these things sell for quite a bit, especially for a noob. We're talking about, at this point, 8 to 10k a piece. And just from getting that nice little feedback from someone who's a bit more experienced.
Todas las comunidades chicas son piola. Eso es así. La única comunidad que pueden llegar a ser tóxica es cuando hay 1 millón de personas jugando y todo el mundo está embolado y el juego está hace mucho y es así. No es yo creo que hay un límite en lo que pase por el juego. O sea, mi comunidad, por ejemplo, de la primera MMO que hice, nunca fue una comunidad tóxica. Siempre estaban regalándose cosas constantemente. O sea, todo el mundo es piola cuando hay poca gente. Y cuando es un juego nuevo y cuando hay todo así. Después va evolucionando y bueno, se puede volver más tóxico dependiendo de la cantidad de gente, creo yo.
And then also over the time of me playing, getting helpful advice from them on how to do quests, just little things like that really adds up. And honestly, beyond the player base, the mods, the player moderators, I think they deserve so much credit for being able to maintain the player base's health. And I've actually had the opportunity to talk to them quite a bit recently. And it has become very clear to me that they want this game and its community to succeed just as much as the devs do. And keep in mind, these are player moderators. They're not getting paid to do this. And the mods not only just moderate the game and make sure there are no cheaters or there are no people who are cussing each other out in chat, but they also go out of their way to run community events. And this was something that they initially really pushed for. And they do all of this just purely out of their love for the game.
Ya debe estar funcionando en móvil ya y todavía no salió en Steam.
And that's just another point on the graph that really paints how much community matters for this game. And don't even get me started on the devs themselves. I mean, they've just been absolutely grinding their way, trying to make this game better for everyone. But on top of that, they also regularly interact with the player base too. Whether it's chatting with the players in the Discord server, sharing teasers for the next update, or answering some of our questions in a monthly Q&A that they set up. My time with Edderspire has been an amazing experience. This is a game that feels like a passion project from a small group of gamers who got together, looked at the state of mobile gaming, and instead of just whining about it all day, decided to make a game that they themselves wanted to play. And it's clear, especially in the recent weeks, with just how much the player base has grown, that they have the right idea on where they're going with this game. Now, Edderspire, with all its quirks, may not be for everyone, but I genuinely do believe that this game has the potential to become the best mobile MMORPG on the market for a lot of people itching to find the right one for a very long time. But what do you think about Edderspire? Let me know in the comments down below. If you liked what you saw, subscribe to this channel, as I do plan on making more Edderspire content, including guides, update rundowns, and generally interesting stuff from the community. Until next time, this is Virtuoso signing out. Happy hunting.
Wow, un tipo que dedicó a hacer un YouTube de un juego. No sé, puede ser más fanático que eso, pero wow. Bueno, ahí lo tienen. Un nuevo MMO argentino que parece espectacular. Realmente parece espectacular. Está por salir ahora. Y bueno, les dejo el link y todas las cosas para que lo vean. Y nos estamos viendo.